Welcome to Wisdom Ones, where we embark on a journey of truth, hope, and inspiration. I'm so glad you're here today, and I have a message that's been stirring in my heart, one that I believe is meant just for you. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the wisdom shared here. And if this message speaks to you, I invite you to comment "Protect" here below, as a way to affirm your commitment to hold on to what's most precious in your life. In the book of James, we are reminded that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, James 1:3. This perseverance, though often forged in the fire of trials and hardships, is not something that we gain easily. It is through the waiting, through the moments when it feels like nothing is changing, that our faith is refined. Just as gold is purified in the fire, our hearts and spirits are purified through the trials we face. God uses these moments to shape us, to mold us into the people He has called us to be, and to strengthen our faith so that we may walk in His purposes for our lives. In those times of waiting, we may not always understand the process. We may question why things aren't moving faster or why we are facing the challenges we are. But trust that God, in His wisdom, is at work behind the scenes. He's using every moment of uncertainty to prepare us for the greater things He has planned. And in the end, we will see that the waiting was not wasted, but that it was part of His divine plan to bring us closer to the fullness of His purpose for us. Now, imagine standing at the edge of everything you've prayed for, everything you've worked for, only to feel as though it's slipping through your fingers. Have you ever been in a moment where it seems like all the promises you've held onto are just out of reach? The final stretch of a year may leave you questioning if God has forgotten the promises He made to you. But I want you to hear this clearly. God is still writing your story. Even when it seems like you're facing obstacles you can't overcome, even when time seems to be running out, remember this: God isn't bound by time. He is the creator of time, and He moves through it in ways we can't fully understand. Do you remember the stories of the past? The ones where God parted the seas, turned water into wine, and performed miracles that defied all logic. Those weren't just stories meant for the past. They are testimonies of the power of God that is still active in our lives today. Just the mountains that you thought would never move, He can move in an instant. The seas that seem to block your way, He can part. Don't let your current circumstances make you forget that the same God who did those things is still working today. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The fact that you're still standing, still hoping, and still praying is a testament to God's faithfulness. There may have been moments of doubt, times when you felt as though you were too late or that everything was falling apart. But let me remind you, God does not abandon His people. He's not finished with you. Even if it feels like the year is coming to a close and the promises seem farther away than ever, God is still able to fulfill every word He's spoken over your life, just as He parted the Red Sea for the Israelites. When they thought there was no way forward, He is ready to make a way for you. The very things you thought were impossible can still happen. Hope is not a passive wish. It is an unshakable confidence that God is who He says He is, and He will do what He has promised. The kind of hope we have in God isn't based on chance or coincidence. It is a living, breathing trust in His ability to act in your life. Maybe you've been waiting for a breakthrough, for a dream to come true, for a promise to be fulfilled. And while you wait, doubt may creep in, wondering if it's too late, if you've missed your opportunity. But I'm here to tell you that it is never too late. God is not limited by the days and months of a calendar. He holds time in His hands, and He works in ways that often surpass our understanding. Remember that God's timing is not our timing, and His ways are not our ways. We may not see the breakthrough we've been praying for just yet, but trust that every prayer you've offered, every hope you've held on to is being heard by God. Just like the widow who kept coming back to the unjust judge in Jesus' parable, God encourages you to persist, to keep praying, to keep knocking, because He is listening. It might feel like the breakthrough isn't coming fast enough, but every prayer you've prayed has ascended before Him like incense. None of it has gone unnoticed. And even when you feel exhausted from waiting, from praying, from wondering if it will ever happen, I urge you not to give up. The breakthrough you've been longing for could be just around the corner. So for your persistence in faith is not in vain. Every moment of waiting, every prayer of longing, is preparing you for what God is about to do. And the end of this year doesn't mark the end of His ability to move in your life. I know some of you may feel like you've reached the end of your rope. You've prayed for healing, for restoration, for peace, and yet it feels like things haven't changed. But let me remind you that God is not bound by what we see in the natural. When He works in ways that go beyond human understanding. Miracles are not just fairy tales. They are the manifestations of God's love and power. Think about the time when Jesus turned water into wine at the wedding in Cana. He didn't do it because He had to, but because He is generous and He delights in blessing His people. If He can turn water into wine, surely He can move in your life in ways you can't even imagine. So the breakthrough you've been waiting for may come in ways you never expected. God's ways are higher than ours, and His ability to provide for you far exceeds your own understanding. Ephesians 3:20 reminds us that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. Don't limit God by your own vision. Let your faith be greater than your circumstances. God is still the God of miracles, and He is still able to move mountains, open doors, heal wounds, and breathe new life into your dreams. As we reflect on this year, it's easy to focus on the struggles, the setbacks, the moments of pain. But I want you to take a moment and remember the faithfulness of God. Reflect on the ways He has carried you, on the prayers He has answered, on the doors He has opened for you. Even in the hardest times, He has been there strengthening you, guiding you, loving you, and He will not abandon you now. His faithfulness is unwavering, and His promises are sure. No matter what you face in the coming days, hold on to the truth that God is with you, and He will not let you go. Hold on, chosen one. Do not doubt that God is still moving in your life. You may be facing moments where the path seems unclear, where the weight of uncertainty weighs heavy on your heart. But let me remind you, this is not the end. God who began a good work in you will carry it to completion. Your journey is not over, and your purpose is still unfolding. For Might 7 County. It may feel like time is running out, that the dreams you once held so close are slipping away. But hear me clearly, God's timing is perfect. The wait is not punishment, it's preparation. He is refining you, shaping you, and preparing you for something even greater than you could ever imagine. Trust in this process, even when it feels slow, even when the answer seems delayed. There are seasons in life where it feels as though nothing is happening, when everything around us feels still. But understand this, God is never still. He is always working, always moving behind the scenes, orchestrating everything for your good. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean He's not at work. Sometimes, the most powerful movements of God happen in the quiet moments when we can't see how things will come together. The struggles you face today are not in vain. The challenges you encounter are shaping your character, your faith, and your endurance. They are preparing you for the blessing, the breakthrough, and the victory that is on its way. There is no trial you face that will not bring you closer to the person God has created you to be. You are being prepared for something greater. Don't let the struggles deceive you into thinking that your story is over or that your dreams are unimportant. There is a fire inside of you, and that fire is burning for a reason. It's a light that refuses to be dimmed, a light that the world needs. You might feel weary, discouraged, or overwhelmed, but know this: your light irritates demons. Your very existence disturbs the darkness because you are a threat to the enemy's plans. And when you stand firm, when you refuse to give up, when you continue to trust in God, you are not only walking in your purpose, you are advancing God's kingdom. Your faith is shaking the very foundations of the enemy's kingdom. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to stand in the fire. Don't be afraid to let your faith burn bright. Even when the world tells you it's too much, when the enemy whispers that you're not enough. Remember this: God chose you for such a time as this. He has equipped you with everything you need to fulfill the purpose He has placed in your heart. And I know, it's not always easy. It's not always clear. But remember, faith is not about seeing the whole picture. It's about trusting the one who holds the brush. It's about believing that even in the moments when you cannot see, God is painting a masterpiece with your life. You may be in a season of waiting, but I tell you, waiting is not wasted time. God is doing something in you, something deep, something transformative. Your roots are growing deeper. Your faith is being stretched, and soon, the fruit of your labor will be evident for all to see. What you are going through right now is not the end of your story. It's just a chapter. God is still writing. Your story is unfolding before your eyes. Don't lose heart and don't give up on the dreams He has planted in your heart. They are not dead. They are alive, waiting for the right moment to burst forth and bloom. I know the battles you fought. I know the pain you've endured, but I also know the strength you've gained. I know the resilience that now lives inside of you. And I know that God is about to release a harvest in your life like never before. Your faith has been tested, but it has also been refined. You have been through the fire, and you have come out stronger, more determined, more focused than ever before. So as this year comes to a close, do not let the enemy deceive you into thinking that your dreams are too far out of reach. Do not let doubt take root in your heart. Stand firm in the promise that the God who began a good work in you will finish. He is faithful to complete what He has started. Chosen one, you are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not overlooked. Your heavenly Father sees you. He knows the desires of your heart. He knows the struggles you face. He is with you in the waiting, and He is with you in the breakthrough. Your faith matters. Your prayers matter. Your persistence matters. Even now, as you read these words, God is working on your behalf. Even in the moments when it feels like nothing is happening, He is moving. His hand is on your life, and He is opening doors that no man can shut. He is aligning things in your favor. The breakthroughs, the miracles, the answers to prayer, they are on their way. I know you may be tired, but do not lose heart. You are closer to your breakthrough than you think. Keep pushing forward. Keep pressing into the promises of God. Your faith is more powerful than you realize. It may feel small right now, but God can take that mustard seed of faith and move mountains. Nothing is impossible for you when you walk in His power. So I encourage you to stand firm. Hold on to the promises of God. Let your faith rise. Keep praying. Keep believing. Keep declaring that God is faithful, and no matter what happens in the days to come, do not let go of the dreams He has placed in your heart. Your story is not over. It's just getting started. And the best is yet to come. Now, if this message has touched your heart, if it's resonated with you, I want you to do something bold. Comment, protect below, and subscribe to the Wisdom Ones channel. Let's continue this journey together. Let's build each other up, support one another, and walk in faith as we press into the promises of God. You are chosen, you are called, and you are not alone. Hold on to that truth and watch as God moves in your life in ways you've never imagined. As we reflect on the journey we've explored together, it becomes clear that the path we walk as chosen ones is not always easy, nor is it always clear. It's filled with moments of uncertainty, heartache, and times when we feel disconnected from the dreams we once held so close. But within that uncertainty, there is a deeper truth, a truth that resonates within each of us, reminding us that we are not alone, and that God's presence in our lives is unshakable. When we find ourselves facing the unknown, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the challenges that seem to come out of nowhere, by the long periods of waiting, and by the moments that stretch on endlessly without any apparent sign of change. In these times, it can feel as if everything is stagnant, as if progress is nowhere to be found, and we may even begin to question whether we are moving in the right direction. This is a common experience for many of us, and it can be frustrating, even discouraging. But this is precisely where our faith becomes most powerful, because in these moments of uncertainty, when it feels like nothing is happening, we are often being prepared for something much greater than we can see with our natural eyes. The waiting, the stillness, and the challenges we face are not in vain. They are part of a greater plan that is unfolding in ways we cannot always comprehend in the moment. It's during these times that we are being shaped and refined. We may not feel it, and we may not understand it, but God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating the next steps of our journey. It's important to remember that our story is not over yet. The chapters that we are living through right now may feel long and difficult, but they are merely preparation for the greater things that are to come. The most significant and impactful chapters of your life may still be ahead of you, even if you cannot yet see them. Just because the answers or the breakthroughs haven't come yet does not mean that they are not on the way. The same God who began a good work in your life is still actively at work today. He is not absent or unaware of your struggles. He is still moving, still guiding, and still opening doors for you, even when those doors aren't immediately visible. No matter how things may appear on the surface, God is continually working in ways that are often invisible to us. He is making a way, preparing opportunities, and paving the path that will lead to the next step in your journey. And the beauty of it all is that no matter what obstacles you may face, the doors God opens are doors that no one can shut. They are His provision, His timing, and His plan unfolding in your life, even when it feels like nothing is happening at all. What we often forget, especially in a world that thrives on immediacy, is that God's timeline is not the same as ours. In our society, we are taught to expect quick results, to see tangible progress right away, and to demand that things happen now. This constant pressure to move fast and achieve quickly can lead to frustration when we don't see instant change in our lives. We might wonder if we are doing something wrong or if we are being left behind, especially when everything around us seems to be moving at a rapid pace. However, it is crucial to understand that God's ways are not our ways, and His understanding of time is far greater, deeper, and more expansive than ours. He sees the bigger picture, every detail, every season, every moment, and He knows exactly when it is the right time for things to unfold. While we may want to rush through the waiting periods, God uses these times to shape us in ways we often can't fully grasp until much later. His timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with our own sense of urgency. The world teaches us that we must always be striving for immediate progress, that if we aren't seeing results right now, then something must be wrong. But God often works differently. In His kingdom, waiting is not a sign of failure, nor is it a waste of time. Instead, it is part of His plan to refine us, to build character, and to prepare us for the greater purpose He has for us. As we wait, we grow in ways that we might not notice at first. We learn patience, resilience, and trust. The waiting period becomes a training ground where we are molded and shaped into the people God created us to be. In the stillness, we become more attuned to His voice. We start to recognize the whispers of His guidance in the quiet moments, and in the process, our relationship with Him deepens. Waiting forces us to rely on Him more fully, to trust His timing, and to recognize that He is in control, even when things don't seem to be moving forward. It is in these moments of waiting that we often discover who we truly are and what we are truly capable of. In the pressure of waiting, our true strengths emerge, and we realize that God has equipped us with more than we thought we had. The waiting seasons, though challenging, are not wasted. They prepare us for the calling that is ahead, and when the time comes for things to shift, we will be ready to step into the fullness of what God has been preparing us for all along. There are moments in life when we may feel as though our faith is growing faint, when the doubts creep in and we question whether all the prayers, the dreams, and the hopes we've held onto for so long are truly worth it. These are the times when it feels like the weight of our struggles is too much to bear, and we can't help but wonder why it seems that others are advancing while we remain in a place that feels stagnant, stuck, or even broken. It's easy to feel disheartened and discouraged, as though our progress is non-existent and all the efforts we've put in seem to be going unnoticed. But let me remind you that in these very moments, when everything seems uncertain, God is doing a deep, transformative work within you that might not be immediately visible. In the seasons of waiting, when it feels like nothing is happening, that's when God is often doing some of His most powerful work behind the scenes. He is refining your spirit, shaping your heart, and preparing you for something greater than you can even imagine. You may not fully understand it right now, but I want you to hold on to this truth. The waiting, the uncertainty, the confusion, it's not wasted. God is working in you in ways that go beyond your understanding. Even though you can't see it yet, the process is leading you to something extraordinary. The work He's doing is setting the foundation for the manifestation of His promises in your life. You might feel like your dreams are slipping away, that the vision you once had for your life is fading, and that the desires of your heart are growing distant with every passing day. But I promise you, that is not the case. What may feel like a delay is actually a divine refinement process. The dreams you are holding on to are not disappearing. They are being molded, strengthened, and purified, just as gold must pass through the fire to be refined. So too must our dreams and our faith be refined in the fire of waiting. It is in this process that God prepares us to handle the blessing that is coming our way. When we wait patiently, trusting that God's timing is perfect. We grow not only in our faith but also in our character. The refining process often takes time, and it's not always comfortable. But it's in the discomfort that we are stretched and shaped into the people God has destined us to be. The dreams that seem impossible now will come to fruition in due time. God is not a man that he should lie. What he has spoken over your life, he will bring to pass. So, though it may seem like everything is standing still, know that behind the scenes, God is preparing something far greater than what you could ever envision on your own. So, do not lose heart in the waiting. Do not doubt that your prayers are being heard. Do not think for a second that your hopes are for nothing. Trust that God is at work even in the unseen. And know that when the time comes, when he releases his promises over your life, you will see just how much all the waiting, all the growth, all the refining was worth it. Keep holding on to your faith. The best is yet to come. The beauty of the journey we are on lies in the profound truth that it's not about reaching a particular destination or achieving a specific goal that marks our success. It's about the transformation that occurs within us as we move along the path. It's about the person we become in the process of facing challenges, enduring setbacks, and navigating through seasons of uncertainty. Every step you take, every trial you encounter, every detour and delay is shaping you into something stronger, more resilient, and more in tune with the purpose God has for your life. We often look at the end goal, whether it's a dream, a promise, or a vision we hold close to our hearts, and we focus on how long it's taking to get there. We want the results, the fruit, the outcome now, and we can become frustrated when we feel like we're stuck or moving too slowly. But the truth is, every moment spent waiting, every moment spent working through difficulties is not wasted. It is all part of the process. The journey itself is a beautiful part of the story God is writing with your life. It's in this journey that we are molded, refined, and prepared for the blessing that is on its way. You see, the more we embrace the process, the struggle, the uncertainty, the challenges, the more we allow ourselves to grow in ways we never thought possible. We start to recognize that each hurdle is not something to be feared, but an opportunity to strengthen our faith and grow closer to God. It's in these moments, when things are tough, that we learn to depend on God more fully. We start to see that his presence is not something we find just when everything is going well, but something that is even more tangible when we are at our lowest points, when we feel vulnerable, when we don't have all the answers. His strength is made perfect in our weakness. It's a paradox, isn't it? We often think we need to be strong in ourselves, that we need to have everything figured out before we can move forward. But in reality, it's our weakness, our vulnerability, and our honest reliance on God that invites his strength to work in us in the most powerful way. When we are at our weakest, he is at his strongest, and that's where we experience his presence in a real and profound way. Perhaps the moments when we feel the most helpless are the moments when he shows up most powerfully, reminding us that we are not alone on this journey. Every challenge, every setback is a moment for God to refine us. It's an opportunity to let go of our own plans and trust in his timing, in his wisdom, and in his perfect understanding of what we need. Sometimes the detours we face are not signs of failure, but rather redirections towards something greater. God is preparing us for the future he has designed, and along the way, he is strengthening our faith, building our endurance, and teaching us to trust him more deeply. It's easy to look at the struggles and wonder why they are happening. We might even question God's goodness or feel abandoned when things don't go as planned. But remember, it's often in these moments of struggle that we learn to recognize his power in ways that we never could when everything is going smoothly. As we grow in faith, we discover that God is not only present in the victories but also in the valleys. His grace meets us in the tough times. And it's in those moments that we truly learn what it means to rely on his strength rather than our own. So, as you face the challenges ahead, remember that God is with you. He is using every step of the journey to shape you, to refine you, and to prepare you for the great things he has in store. Embrace the process, knowing that your faith is being strengthened with each passing moment. Trust that God's presence is always near, especially when you feel vulnerable, and know that it is in your weakness that his strength is revealed in the most beautiful way. The journey is not always easy, but it is always purposeful. And in the end, when you look back, you'll see that it was not the destination that mattered most. It was the person you became along the way. As chosen ones, we are called to walk a path that is often not the easiest or the most comfortable, but it is the path that leads to something far greater than we could ever imagine. There will be moments when you feel like you are walking alone, but remember, God is with you every step of the way. He has never left you. His promises are true, and His faithfulness endures forever. When you stand firm in your faith, even in the midst of uncertainty, you are aligning yourself with the very will of God. You are choosing to trust in His plan, even when you cannot see the outcome. And that is the type of faith that moves mountains. It is easy to become discouraged, especially when the road ahead seems unclear, but we must learn to trust in God's timing. He knows what we need, when we need it, and how to bring it about in the perfect moment. Just because you can't see the breakthrough right now does not mean that God isn't preparing it for you. There are times when God's delays are not denials. They are simply moments of preparation. He is aligning circumstances, opening doors, and setting things in motion that you cannot see in your present situation. Trust that He is working on your behalf, even when it feels like nothing is happening. And when the breakthrough comes, and it will come, it will be more than you ever imagined. It will be a testimony to the goodness of God and the power of your faith. The challenges you face today will seem small in comparison to the victory you will experience. You will look back on this time and see how far you've come, how much you've grown, and how God has moved in your life. His plan is always bigger than our own, and the destiny He has for us is always more glorious than we could ever dream. The key is to hold on to your faith, to stand firm in what you believe, and to never give up, no matter how hard it gets. There will be times when you feel exhausted, when the weight of your calling feels too heavy, but those are the moments when you need to press in even harder. God's strength will carry you through. He will not let you fall. He will not leave you hanging. He will uphold you with His mighty right hand. So what should you do in these moments of waiting, of uncertainty, of doubt? You continue to trust. You continue to pray. You continue to believe that God is working all things together for your good, and you continue to move forward, one step at a time, knowing that each step is a step closer to the fulfillment of His promises. Even if you don't understand the process, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment, know that God is faithful. His promises are true, and He will not fail you. When you face trials, when the road seems too long, when the waiting becomes unbearable, remember this: God has not forgotten you. He sees your struggles. He hears your cries. He knows your heart, and He is right there beside you, ready to strengthen you, ready to equip you, ready to carry you through. You are not walking this journey alone. You are walking with the Creator of the universe, the one who has all power, all wisdom, and all. And as you walk, you are not just walking for yourself. Every step you take, every moment of faith you hold on to, is not just for your own growth, but for the encouragement and inspiration of those around you. There are people watching you, people who are silently observing your journey, and who will be deeply impacted by the way you move forward, even in the midst of hardship. They will see your faith, your perseverance, and your unwavering trust in God, and it will ignite something in them: your strength, your resilience, and your ability to keep going, even when the road is tough, will serve as a beacon of hope for others who are struggling to keep their own faith alive. The beauty of this journey is that it's not just about you. Yes, God is refining you, preparing you for what He has planned for your life, but He is also using your life as a testimony for others. Every trial you face, every victory you experience, is a chapter in a story that is bigger than yourself. Your walk of faith is a living example of what it looks like to trust God when it's hard, to keep believing when there's no visible sign of progress, and to stand firm in His promises, even when the world around you seems uncertain. When you persevere, when you keep walking forward even when you're unsure of what's ahead, you become a light in the darkness for those around you. Your story becomes a testimony of God's faithfulness, His provision, and His ability to bring you through the fire stronger than before. And in doing so, you inspire others to keep going, to hold on, and to trust that their own breakthrough is on its way. Your journey becomes a reminder that no matter how difficult the path may seem, God is with us every step of the way. He is working in us, and He is working through us to bring glory to His name and to encourage those who are watching. There are people out there who are feeling defeated, hopeless, and lost. They need to see that it's possible to stand firm in faith, even when everything seems to be falling apart. They need to see your story, your journey, as evidence that God is still at work, that He is still in control, and that He is faithful to complete the good work He has started. Your unwavering trust in God, your obedience to His calling, will remind others that they are not alone, that they are seen, and that their struggles are not in vain. And sometimes it's the quiet moments, the moments where you don't feel like you're making any progress, that speak the loudest. When you keep going, even when you're tired, even when you feel like giving up, it's in those moments that your faith speaks volumes. It's not always about the big breakthroughs or the loud victories. Sometimes it's the small, consistent acts of faithfulness that leave the most lasting impact. You may never know the full extent of how your journey will touch others, but trust that your life is a witness to God's power in love. So keep walking, keep trusting, and keep believing. Your journey is not just for you. It is for those who are watching, learning, and being inspired by your faith. Your perseverance will fuel theirs, and your testimony will be a light that leads them to the hope and peace that can only come from trusting in God. Let your walk be a reminder to others that God is faithful, that He is with us through every step, and that He is able to turn every trial into a testimony of His goodness. The breakthrough is coming, not just for you, but for everyone who is watching your walk of faith. Keep moving forward, and let your life be a living testimony to the power of God's love and faithfulness. Now more than ever, the world needs to see people who stand firm in their faith, who trust in God's promises, and who refuse to give up. You are one of those people. You are chosen, called, and destined for greatness. Do not let the world shake your faith. Do not let the opinions of others, the doubts of your own heart, or the challenges you face cause you to question what God has placed in you. Your faith, no matter how small it may seem, is powerful. It can move mountains. It can break chains. It can change lives. So I encourage you, chosen one, to keep walking forward. Keep trusting, keep believing, keep standing firm. No matter what you face, no matter how difficult the journey may seem, know that God is with you, is for you, and He is working all things together for your good. The best is yet to come. Your story is still being written, and the victory that awaits you is greater than you can imagine. As we close today, I want to leave you with a reminder. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are chosen, and your story is far from over. Keep walking in faith, knowing that God is faithful to complete the good work He has begun. If this message has touched your heart, if it has inspired you to keep going, I invite you to comment, protect below, and subscribe to the Wisdom Ones channel. Let's continue this journey together, walking in faith, standing firm in our trust in God, and supporting one another through every trial and every victory. You are not alone, and your breakthrough is coming.